toot, baby. It's time to ride the funk train. And this is Funkmaster V. There's no special costumes tonight. There's no dirty jokes. It's not even really a full in-depth review. So we're going to take a look at Neo Sprint, the Atari VCS. And from what I understand, this is an exclusive. Now, my friend and fellow podcaster, John Silverback Stoll II, that's a hell of a Christian name. He advised me that this was a reimagining of the old Sprint series. I thought this was just a shovelware thing from a struggling, fledgling developer, but no, this is, you know, if you remember Sprint Master on the 2600, Sprint 2, Sprint 8, this is a reimagining of that series. And apparently this is called the Early Access version, and Atari is looking for feedback. So today, I'll give some feedback, boy, because that's what I'm known for, baby.
Hola, childs. It's time for Funkmaster V's Getting Hip with the Atari 7800, where Funkmaster V, musician, ghost hunter, hat flipper, pro wrestler, and comedian takes you on a tour of all things cool about the Atari 7800. Are you ready to get your groove on? Because it's about to get funky up in here.
I have to admit, when I first turned the game on, I looked at that centipede car, and I about flipped out. I was like, you know what, look at that thing, that's badass. And I really liked this game in the beginning. I thought it was very strong, but as I played it, and I played it quite a bit, things started to irritate me more and more as the game went on. But if Atari is serious that they want feedback for this game, I'll give you feedback. Now, most of the game, I would say, is positive. I would have given, in the beginning, when I first started playing this thing about a 4 out of 5, maybe even a 4.5 out of 5. I was really enjoying it. There were a few things, though, that started to rear its ugly head, and I started to be like, you know what, this thing needs some work. First off, this isn't really like Sprint as much as it is like, if you remember Ivan Stewart's Off-Road Racing. There's a lot of contact, there's a lot of bopping around, there's a lot of hijinks, and a lot of paint swapping. You know, I live down south now, man. These guys, what are you talking about? There's a lot of paint swap stuff happening down in south when you race. This game feels very Midwestern, very Southeastern. Now, it's competitive. It's not easy. When you try to win the Grand Prix, when you try to win a campaign, it's tough, and I like the challenge, I really do. But the game gets harder as the game goes on, and I'm stuck on the second cup of a campaign, and I've spent maybe 2 hours, if not more, trying to get at least third place in a race on the second cup, and I can't do it. They've got to fix that. Now, so what happens here? The problem with the game is, unlike Ivan Stewart's Off-Road, there are no turbos. So it's a very difficult game, and if you make a wrong turn, which is very easy to do in a game like this, there's no way to make up ground. Ivan Stewart's Off-Road Racing, you could fire a turbo or 2 or 3, and you can get back in the race if you made a bad turn. There's none of that here. One of the biggest qualms I have about the game is I don't like how they don't use the classic joystick as a steering wheel. With the Atari Fight Stick that I have, I put down a spinner, which is good for games like Super Breakout and Warlords and Tempest and Major Havoc, things like that. But the spinner is also good for games like Ivan Stewart's Off-Road Racing and also Outrun and things like that. It can be a steering wheel. So I'm disappointed the classic controller isn't implemented. The game gets too tough, and apparently the further you go, there's obstacles on the racetrack. This game doesn't need obstacles. It's tough enough. There have been complaints about the game being a little too generic, and the tracks look different, and there's different types of items you can place everywhere. But yeah, it does kind of look like a generic version of Roller Coaster Tycoon. I wish there were more Atari-themed buildings and accoutrements you can lay around the track that would make it look and feel a little less generic. And also, let's talk about these characters. The name Gassa and Harold and Chase. Why don't we have this, why don't we give it the Mario Kart Nintendo treatment? Atari, if you're listening, let's race against Bentley Bear. Let's race against Rendell the Red. Let's race against, you've made the Pong Paddle a character now. I can't remember his name. It's something like Dopey or something. I don't know what you call him. But let's add these characters, these iconic Atari characters, as the bosses in these races. And wouldn't that be fun? Instead of racing against a bunch of strange anime kids? I don't know. I don't think it would be difficult because there's not a lot going on. There's no voice acting, and these people are just basically drawings. I'd jump on that easy. I would jump on that immediately. Other than that, the game mechanics are great. It feels like, like the off-road game that I keep referencing, but I love that game. It's a lot of fun. There's a track editor here that's fairly easy to use. I'm too old to get into this type of stuff, but I'll probably horse around and make a couple of easier tracks so I can kick the computer's ass at it. Time trials, sure, but I think the main event is either the Grand Prix or the campaign. Now, the campaign purports that it's this great immersive story. That's not true. There's a lot of unlockables, a lot of paint jobs to unlock, a lot of track parts to unlock. But when you start racing this game, dude, it's merciless. I can't tell big differences between the cars, and it is a hell of a challenge. I think there's a lot to work with. I think Atari kind of needs to tweak these things here that I'm going to put on the screen. And if they listen to old funk, which it sounds like they did with my first VCS review, and I said they need to start implementing homebrews, which they have, you know what? They may have a winner on their hands. I'm enjoying it, and I think maybe, hey, classic, all these things, classic controller, implement the boss characters. I do love the customization of, the Atari-themed carts and race cars and stuff like that. Overall, not too shabby, but we got a ways to go here, Atari. And if you tweak these things, I swear to God, you guys could have a winner on your hand.